As the EU brings so much wealth into the country, how would pulling out of the EU affect family?
Slightly loaded question, isn't it? I've spotted all this wealth that's brought into the country. I've spotted the rules and regulations. I've spotted the massive outpouring of cash. I've spotted the limiting of our ability to strike our own trade relationships around the rest of the world. And what I've also spotted is that what we joined 40 years ago was something called a common market. It was supposed to be about trade. What it's become is a political union, which now regulates virtually every single aspect of our lives. Whether we're talking about employment regulation, whether we're talking about the pitiful state of Kent's fishing industry, wherever we look, we find EU law actually is, whether you like it or not, important. My argument is this: you do not need to be part of a political union in order to go on buying and selling widgets from each other, or cars from each other, or trading with each other. And Norway and Switzerland and 30 other countries in the world have exactly the same terms of trade with Europe without being members of it. So I want us to be positive about Europe. I want us to trade with Europe. I want us to cooperate with Europe. I am not anti-European myself at all. I'm even married to a girl who comes from Germany. So no one needs to tell me about the dangers of German domination. I know about these things. But I want us to be a self-governing, democratic, proud nation that makes its own laws in our own parliament, controls our borders so that we can decide whether 30,000 people a year come here from southern and eastern Europe, or 300,000 people a year come here from southern and eastern Europe. And I want us to re-engage with the rest of the world, starting particularly with those Commonwealth countries. And you just look at India and Australia and countries like that that are doing amazingly well. We turned our backs on them, which is madness. Britain's future is outside political union with Europe. And I'll tell you something, Europe's future will not be in the same shape and form that it currently is, because the objection to being governed from Brussels is not something just in this country, as you saw from the recent European election results. Right across Europe, people are saying the direction this project's gone is the wrong one. We need to start again with a blank sheet of paper, Europe of trade, cooperation, but not one of Brussels law dominating us. In fact, we're often asked to leave the room. Countries like Guatemala can stay in the room, but we're asked to leave. And we are forbidden, banned from making trade deals with India or Australia or any other nation on earth, because it has to be done for us by a Brussels bureaucrat. Do you admit that?
We have had no, because
no.
we
are you saying we
have signed a trade deal with South Korea. The whole of Europe has.
No.
If you remember,
can we, as a nation, like the Swiss and others can do, sign our own trade deals?
The Swiss do not have a
The Swiss have got more free trade associations globally than we've got as EU members, and you're running away from this. We cannot engage as we would choose with the rest of the world if we're encumbered by Brussels.
Absolutely not. We are part of Brussels negotiations, and we can work together. What is the problem? What is interesting is that people who are so-called anti-Europe are very pro-NATO. We work together. We have collective responsibility through our defence, our mutual defence. Why can we not have exactly the same, a valued relationship as we do have with Europe? We have signed a deal with South Korea, which is going to be extremely beneficial to this country. We are going to be part of the single market.
Outside the House of Commons, you voted against the referendum in 2011, yes or no?
I did, but that wasn't what we had in piece of legislation about us having a vote in immediately. We do not have the support in Parliament. What we need is a majority Conservative government where we can actually get this legislation through. And that is why the next election is an election about do you want a referendum on the EU or don't you?
Russ. Yeah, I think we all agree that the Liberal Democrats have probably got a connection
between the fact that under the Labour government,
they're all paying tax.
million
All these
people
people pay tax.
settled in this
All
country,
pay tax.
and we cannot, as EU members, control the numbers. The link is perfectly clear.
But we're talking about Thanet, and I asked one of my colleagues from the Cabinet Under Housing at Thanet Council to look into the numbers. And, you know, it was an incredibly small amount of immigrants actually coming over here and claiming social housing. An incredibly small amount of people claiming benefits. Most of them are working at Thanet and other jobs, actually bringing things to the economy. I know you want to close off the barriers to Britain. I know you don't want anyone in this country that doesn't look like everybody else. I am proud of the fact that this country is multicultural. I am proud to live in a country that is open.
Lowering yourself to the gutter, isn't it? What we're saying is, and what the Labour Party ought to be saying, is we need to control, both in terms of quantity and quality, who comes to Britain, and you cannot do that when you have an open door to 500 million people. That's the real debate we should be having.
Your arguments are predicated on people coming here as being something that's intrinsically bad. And I would accept that, you know, immigration, mass immigration in some areas has caused problems. The area I represent, Cliftonville, it's exacerbated a housing problem because of the language difficulties. I would accept there are problems, but it is predicated on it being a solely bad thing, and that is not true. That is absolutely not true.
And to take up on Will's housing issue, actually what we've got...
I should have got a quote from my German wife in reply. It would have been rather crucial now, I'm sure. There we are.
Right, I think we should be.
Access and to maintain its founding principles. I think that's something that nearly everybody in Britain believes in. But just because you throw money at something doesn't mean you're always getting value for money. When Blair was elected, we were spending a smaller percentage of our GDP on health than comparable Northern European countries. We're now spending a higher percentage of our GDP on health than those countries like France across the water, and yet if you compare the rates of recovery from heart disease, stroke and cancer, the French hospitals are producing a better result than we are. We're not getting the right bang for our buck, and I would suggest one of the reasons is PFI deals. It's absolutely astonishing what Gordon Brown has done with PFI deals, leaving hospitals indebted. But secondly, and here's the real problem, here's the real disease of the NHS, a growth of the middle management layer of the National Health Service by 48% since 1997. And if ever there was an area of British public life where we could maintain or even improve the end results while saving a great deal of money at the same time, it would be to put some proper business management techniques into the National Health Service and to get rid of the excess bureaucracy that has built up over the last 15 years. We can get a better bang for our buck and a better health service with better government.
Or how would you reply?
Well, I think it is absolutely crucial to pick up actually on one of Russ's points, and that is about what we're going to have to face into the future in terms of long-term care, people getting much, much older, and what we need to do is to actually look at sort of measures to preempt people's ageing. And I have a whole series of policies that I'm working with the Department of Health on, which is called Keeping the New Old Young. I don't know whether there are any candidates here today, but it's absolutely crucial that we look and ensure that people's lives are healthy, are energetic, and are fulfilled. And I think that we've got too many low...
So, in the first place, we have Labour with 34 votes. In second place, we have the Green Party with 16. In joint third, we have Conservatives and Liberal Democrats with 14. And in fourth, we have UKIP. And we had one vote for Charlie for PM by his